we just swim in branch. Creek if it had enough water. That's what we did. And so, but then still, that was a lie.
And it was restricted as to what you could do in the service, is that correct?
Yes, restricted for all the blacks, the Guamanians, and the Filipinos. They could all, only thing we could do is wait on the officer. And that was our job. We were restricted. Don't care how much you knew, how smart you were. You couldn't go into the regular, learn how to operate guns or whatever, something like that. And you had to do whatever the officer needed. And they were the ones that we would have to cook for them, lay out their clothes, and shiny shoes, all things that they normally would be. And so they had a special quarters for the officers. But we, as steward mates, we had a special down below. I was on a destroyer. There was an area there that all the steward mates, this was their bunk. There was a little room just like that.
Did you, when you were there, what was your first impression when you went to Hawaii? Because that is so different than Texas.
Yeah, when I first went to Hawaii, it was first thing it was nice. The climate was nice, and we saw a lot of different things. And so we first found out about what the people did and things like that in Hawaii. And it was so much different from what we had been used to. And so we did pretty good out there in Hawaii. We got a chance to see the people with the sugar cane and everything, and then the water. Well, usually when we first got there, we had to get off. They parked the ship at one place, and we get off on a boat and go into the dock and go to town. I never will forget Hawaii. Now, back then, it's Hawaii, was beautiful, nice little town and place like that. But the people there, they come out and sing Hilo Hattie. That was one of the main songs that they used to sing. And so I kind of enjoyed listening to them and things like this.
So going downtown, was that quite an adventure in Honolulu?
Going downtown, because I had never been to a place like where you get out there, they were dancing on the streets and everything. So it was quite interesting and very good. And myself, I danced, but yet still I didn't dance with them. Sometimes I think I did one or two times.
So it was kind of like in New Orleans and on a holiday. The other question I have is, when you're on December 7th, were you asleep when the attack happened, or where were you? You were on the USS Jarvis, correct?
Yeah, I was on the USS Jarvis. I was on there for temporary for Captain Wyatt Craig. When I got ready to go, I always wanted to get off the ship, because I got shot in my legs, and so I don't know why, but yet still the guy that Charlie had the gun pointing down towards the deck, and it went through that deck. It was on the USS Selfridge, it was a destroyer, and it went through the deck, and it hit me in both legs. And lucky it didn't break no bones or nothing. And the first thing I wanted to do was go home. But they wouldn't let me go home. Said, well, your x-ray showed no broken bones up, so you're all right. And I made out like I couldn't walk or like this. So they still wouldn't let me go. Said, no, you all right. And so what I did was, finally, after the first war broke out, well, see, wow, they could drag you and make you do whatever they wanted you to do. shoot the gun, give ammunition to the people so they could put it in the guns and things like this. And so after I said, well, and I signed up for 6 years, and I said, I got to do my other time. And so that's what I did, study. So it was on the rest of them, after I found out I wasn't going to go home no more, so that was it.
Well, that morning when the attack happened, where were you and what was your response?
The attack that I had, my response, I was actually I was down in my bed, this little bunk, and so what I did was I wanted to go up to see what was happening, and I got up there. I just had mosquitoes on, and so all the fire stuff was, and oil and stuff was coming, and the ship was when they drop a bomb, it shake the ship. But my ship was tied up. It was north and south, and so it was something like, say, like this is the dock, and right on the outside of the dock, the ship was tied up. And what happened was there's a warehouse there, a big warehouse, and so they didn't do nothing to the warehouse. By the time they got over the warehouse, they couldn't see our ship. The bow was over the crane, and then the fantail, there was trees over it. And by the time they could see that, and only about 2 guys, they got some shrapnel. And a lot of them, most of the ones there, they were OC. I mean, they'd gone out for the night. But you had to have a certain rank. If you didn't have a certain rank or something like that, you didn't get any leave. Not at night. You get leave in the day, and then come back.
You were on Liberty, or a lot of the folks that were on board the USS Jarvis were on Liberty at that time. Then, when the attack occurred, they were still on in town or off the ship.
Yes, they were there, most of them. But after they sound, they call it, and some of the ships was there. They were coming back, and I kind of remember one time there was some come back and they dropped a bomb near this ship, and it blew it up. But I didn't have a battle station because I just got on there, and I was going to be with Captain Wyatt Craig, who was going to be commander of 8 destroyers. And so I stayed. I didn't have the station because it's over there, and I was happy I wasn't better, then I wouldn't be here today.
So your ship did it move out fairly quickly after the bombing started, or because there were actually 2 different attacks? There was a first series of attacks and then the second series of attacks that followed. Everything started Sunday morning, obviously, so people weren't prepared for it.
Yeah, they were actually, there was some of these things that happened there all of a sudden, and probably most of the ones there, it was pretty strange to them because we had no idea that the a war was going on. They had talked about war, but we knew that they were fighting over the in British and the Germany. They were the ones fighting, and so some of them said they knew a lot about it, but nobody seemed like they knew too much about it. So we just did whatever they said, and the people who was on the ship let us go. A lot of them had gone to stay all night over there. Some of the ships in this ship where I was on was more or less the kind of like it had about almost 200 people was on it.
There was another your mission right after the attack on Pearl Harbor, for the following 2 weeks, according to the records that I was reading earlier today, said that they were patrolling outside of Pearl Harbor for subs. Do you remember that or recall that?
Well, actually, well, after may have been, but after when we kind of stopped and a little bit, my ship got on the way because there was no damage. No more than these cook people up. But I don't remember whether because I didn't know that many people on the ship because I hadn't been on there too long, whether they went to the hospital or what. But they had doctors and everything on us. Some of them. I think they had doctors on them because I had only been on the ship about just a few days before the war broke out. And after that, kind of stopped, slowed up. We got on the way and went on outside patrolling along the banks of different places in Hawaii to find out if we saw anything, if we saw anything. But my ship, it dropped some actually dropped ash. We call them ash cans, and they went off.
Charges.
Yeah, death charges. And some of them said they probably hit somebody or something like that. But after a while, after we did that for about, it seemed like it was a week or so, we stayed in that, and when nobody was coming. And finally, I got off that ship with Captain Wyatt Craig, and we got on another ship, name of not the Selfie thing. I think of the name. And he was commander of this destroyer. And so we went on to Alaska. And there where we fought up there. And it was cold. I said, well, if this ship will hit it, I'm going to go on down with it. I wouldn't get off. But somebody told me that there was one fella, he decided, I don't know how in the world it happened and everything, but he finally got washed over the bed. And then he got washed back on his ship. Yeah, that's what they said, a lot of times. But
it wasn't his day.
When after I got in Alaska, up there, it was cold, and I wasn't gonna get off that ship. And I'm gonna try to think of the two people. There were two people. Happy Chandler was the first baseball commission. I met him. He came up there, and the Powell was taking care of the in Frisco, Alcatraz. He came, and there was one more, Happy Chandler, and this gentleman from taking care of Alcatraz. He came, and I can't think of the other man, but it was three of them. And he stayed up there for a little few days, and it was 75 miles. When we went, we got them on the ship. We carried them to 75 miles and put them on the dock there, and they went on back to Washington to take care of their business.
Did you see any action when you were up in Alaska? Because I know the Japanese had taken a couple of the islands up in the Aleutians, that chain up there. Did you guys, did your ship get involved with any action with the Japanese?
Yeah, the thing that we got, we were always pound to shoot, do a lot of bombarding. And we did that for quite a while. And then finally we stayed up there, I think from about the latter part of the year. And then we came on back to Hawaii. And then went to California for a little even recreation.
What about the Jarvis? Whatever happened to the Jarvis?
I got off the Jarvis and with Captain Craig, by him being the commander